Corbett, the Party Hostess Diva, www.partyhostessdiva.com. I am going to show you how to make fondant with color and decorate a cake. I'm going to show you how to color some fondant, and homemade fondant is best. This is some that I've already made, and it's just simply a marshmallow fondant. To find this recipe, you can go to www.partyhostessdiva.com. So this is nice and soft. It's basically like sugar Play-Doh. To add color, I typically use a good quality paste color like Wilton makes. And what you want to do is, with a toothpick, being very careful to not get your hands in, and sometimes I actually use plastic gloves on my hands to protect my hands from the color. Again, it's very soft, so you're folding in half again, and this takes a lot of muscles in your hands. Just go back to the days when you played with Play-Doh. Working it in, twisting works well, and this may take a few minutes. You don't see any color just yet, but you will if you're patient and you just keep working at it. It's already starting to show up. And to avoid getting it all over myself, I typically turn the color in. Twisting, again, works really well for mixing it in, almost like a green candy cane. Do you want to be careful that your fondant doesn't dry out? This is actually very moist, but to keep it from drying out, if you have to, you can add just a little dollop of vegetable shortening to your hands, and that will help with the sticking as well. Now you can, if you want to, be wild and crazy. You can stay with the marbled effect, which is really cool. So imagine the things that you could do with that. Or you can just continue to twist it, knead it in until you get that nice, solid, even color. And you see it didn't take much of that paste to get this beautiful green. So much like the method of kneading bread, you're going to be using your hands to turn it slightly and push in with the heel of your hand, working the color into the fondant completely. Each time you do this, you want to give it another turn, and it will mix in very quickly. And look at that beautiful color, all even and ready to roll out to decorate your cake. All right, so we have some pre-colored fondant, and we're making some fun little decorations to put onto the cake to add to your decor. This is a pre-colored fondant, and I have both red and yellow, and I've rolled them very thin and used these fantastic little fondant cutters that are easy to find at a craft store to make the shapes. You can use cookie cutters as well. So I have the 3 different size flowers, and those are going to go onto our decorated cake. Use any kind of a good quality rolling pin. A small one is fine for these little pieces, and roll it out pretty thin, about 1/8 of an inch. And I have a leaf-shaped cutter. I'm going to make some leaves to go on our cake. These are all ready to go. You can even pinch them a little bit, make them a little more three-dimensional and realistic looking. And they will dry to a hard consistency, much like a candy. And they are, of course, edible because this is like a sugar Play-Doh. We have our green coloring worked into our nice soft marshmallow fondant, and you're going to want to make a very large circle to go onto your cake to decorate it. The best way to do this is to use a very smooth, clean counter surface or a plastic mat such as this one, and these pastry mats are easy to find most anywhere where they sell cake decorating supplies. I have this awesome large rolling pin. So this is very similar to when you're making a pie crust. You want to start at the center and roll your way out to the edge, applying even pressure. So we're working on rolling our fondant out nice and thin, and these mats are fantastic. They don't stick. You want to roll a little bit, flip the whole piece over, and roll some more, and that will keep it from sticking to the mat. I'm trying to get as much of a circle as I can here, but don't be concerned if it's not perfect because you are going to be trimming the edge. Your goal here is to have this piece of fondant cover this cake. So a very important tip is that you want to actually measure with a measuring tape, a little ruler, anything you have, how many inches up one side, how many inches across, and how many inches down, and add it together. So I'm guessing that this is going to be about 14 inches. So we want a circle that's at least 14 inches large to cover it in one piece. So this mat is marked, and it looks like we're good to go. All right, our fondant is all rolled out to the approximate size we need to cover this entire layer of cake. An easy way to transfer this, if you're too afraid to bring it in one big piece like a pizza, is to fold it. It's not going to stick together. And you're going to lay this about halfway onto the cake. Very simple. You want to work fairly quickly though, because once it sets on the cake, you can't move it. This is incredibly smooth. And you want to use the warmth of your hand to go around the edge, gently molding it, and you'll see it'll stretch slightly. You want to pull it away, go in one direction. Your goal is to not have any wrinkles on the side of the cake. Gently pull it away from the cake, work your way down from the top, almost in a sawing motion. Fondant is such a wonderful medium to work with cakes. Next, we want to trim off the excess. You can do this either with a small pastry cutter, a small pizza wheel, or just a good old-fashioned sharp paring knife. Cut ever so slightly past the edge, just to give you a little tiny extra. It shrinks very slightly when it dries. Moving quickly before it dries. Now this, if it has no icing on it, you can reuse this part. So cut off the icing and pop this in a Ziploc bag to keep it moist, and you have more to work with for your cutout shapes. And again, you can go around with a little paper towel, even your finger, and you're going to clean up this little excess buttercream that's sticking out on the bottom. Knead it up nice and tidy, and next we'll be ready to put on our cut fondant arrangement. You can find these really cool little fondant cutters, like this one in the shape of a leaf. You can use small cookie cutters. You can go free form and cut your own shapes. The colors are totally up to you as well. There's so many fun colors out there. I'm going to add a little bit of a line down the middle of this one, just to make it a little more realistic. All entirely up to you, how much detail you want to add. Now to attach these shapes to your cake, all you need is just a little dab of water. So I just want to figure out where the placement's going to be on here, and I'm just going to go a little off center, I think, on this one. So a little bit of water, and that will kind of make a little glue in between. I'm going to pull these up a little bit, make it a little bit more three-dimensional. A good press, and it will stay on there. And we have our second flower. Again, just a little bit of water is all you need. And last but not least, our tiny little flower right there. Place our leaves. Slightest little dab of water, you don't want too much. And we'll place our second anywhere you want to put it. I'm going to have some writing on this cake, so I'm putting all of my design on one side. And our third leaf to add a little three-dimensional decor. And that is how you make fondant with color and decorate a cake. I'm Liz Corbett, the Party Hostess Diva. www.partyhostessdiva.com